Better one on. Oh, surprise catch. Oh, look at that. It's just beautiful bluegill. I am Will Mack. This is Willpower Fishing. Today I'm going out to a little local lake and I am targeting crappie. That's right, I want to catch a bunch of crappie today. Now, by all means, that's not to say that I won't throw a bass lure. As a matter of fact, I 110% will throw some bass lures today. That being said, I'm in the mood to catch some crappie. It's gonna be about 50 degrees today, which is a far cry from yesterday. It was about 75 degrees. So a 25-degree temperature drop might make fishing today a little bit difficult. That being said, we're gonna target some lay downs. That means some down trees, maybe some grass flats. I've got a really small jig that I'm gonna toss out and hopefully entice some crappie to bite. Let's see if they're out there. This is the exact type of laydown I was talking about. This down tree here in the water. I'm sitting about 5 feet of water, so that tree, the end of it is probably in about 3, maybe 4, maybe 4.5 feet. What I'm gonna do is I'm throwing a 1/32, maybe 3/32 ounce VMC Mooneye Jig Head with a baby bass colored grub tail. The color doesn't matter too much as long as the fish can see it, but I am throwing it with a bobber. Now that's going to allow me to really hone in on the depth and figure out how deep these fish are holding. We're going to hit the outsides first. That's how we have the least chance of getting hung up. And then I'm going to work that grub tail real slow. Well, I got hung up and had to take the bobber off, and it looks like these fish wanted a slow and steady retrieve anyway. Little itty bitty guy, but first fish, monkey's off the back. Small crappie and a small bluegill right off this log right here. Well, one of bass' favorite meals is bluegill, and they will eat crappie too. So what I'm going to do is toss this Ned Rig rage craw right on this log. See if there's a bass in there. Once again, this is another log I'm casting to. I'm actually getting bit as I come away from it. Another fat bluegill. Whoa. Well, as it turns out, these bluegill are the active ones today. I've even tossed out a couple bass lures. That little crappie, that's it. Other than that, these bluegills, but they are a joy to catch. All the colors, beautiful, beautiful fish. Let's catch another. Right here is a drain that comes up under these apartments and probably comes up under the parking lot. It's probably a runoff from the concrete up there. I treat this just like a creek opening because there's different nutrients that may be coming out that smaller fish will feed on, and then the big fish feed on those smaller fish. I don't know what fish are here, but what I'm going to do is try a bunch of different presentations and make sure I fish this really thoroughly. And see if I can't get a fish or two out of this little drain. There he is. There he is. Oh my gosh, look at this bluegill right here. Anytime you can lip a bluegill, that's good. Now he's probably 8-inch fish, maybe a 9-inch fish, really chunky. And let me tell you something, bluegill tastes good. I'm not keeping any fish today, but what a pretty fish, what an aggressive fish. turned into a bluegill fishing trip. Let's let him go. Got another one on. I would be remiss if I didn't throw in a bass lure spot like this where we got lily pads in front, some overhang. So we're gonna toss this craw in and see what happens. Got a little fighter. Whoa. These, I'll tell you what, if I was keeping bluegill today, I'd have more than enough for just a couple sandwiches. I don't know if you can see, but there's a lot of purple. You ever wonder why there's a purple in a lot of bass jigs and jerk baits and crankbaits? Is because purple is actually a very prevalent color in panfish and a lot of the fish, shad, crappie, that bass tend to feed on. My gosh, and that is just a brilliant colored fish. Let's let her go. Getting kind of windy out there, tough to cast, tough to handle the kayak. So I decided to follow one of these little creek arms. And I tell you what, when you've caught enough fish, you see an area like this and your spidey sense starts to go off. I am almost certain there's a fish in here waiting for my jig. There he is. There he is. You know, anytime you see the bank and wood making some sort of corner, I mean, that'd be a good place to cast for bass or any other target fish you're looking for. That's just the place that's going to hold fish. Anything that forms kind of a corner. Could be two banks, could be two logs, could be a bank and a log. Boom, but it produces fish. Is that time of year again. These bluegill have been really aggressive, and which tells me the water's warming up. I mean, I have a fish finder that tells me that the water's 60 degrees, but the bass are starting to bed. I've come across a couple beds with bass on them. There's one right in front of me, so I've tied on a Ned Rig and with a craw, and we're gonna see if we can get these bedfish to bite. And I definitely caught a bedfish. I definitely caught a bedfish. Not a big one. Not a big one at all. Definitely a male. Well, came out today to catch some crappie. Caught 2 dink crappie, but a bunch of really nice bluegill and the first bedfish bass of the year. That's right. That means the pre-spawn for most of the fish is in full swing and the first fish have started to bed. That means full-on spawn is a week, 2 weeks away. This is a male that's going to be building the bed and guarding the eggs and fertilizing them once the female lays them. And we've got to get him back in the water ASAP. But that is what's going on right now, and I am excited for the spawn. Beautiful bass. Mwah. If you ever do catch a bass off a bed, it's so important to get him back in the water as soon as possible, because you do not want to disrupt their breeding process. Well, I set out this morning to catch crappie. That's what I was after, but they just were not active. Does that have something to do with a 25-degree change in temperature overnight? Maybe, probably, But what I found is that the bluegill were very aggressive. So that pushed me to fish a little more shallow, right? Now, in fishing shallow, I found some beds that bass were on. And I threw a Ned Rig on the second bed that I saw, and boom, caught my first bed fish of the season. I'll tell you what, experience allows you to put a plan together for the day. You got to start out with a plan, but then you just have to take the cues and the clues that Mother Nature gives you, and it'll point you in the right direction. I hope you got something out of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. So smash like. And as always, until next time, tie you on a lure and brrr, blah, chuck and wind, baby. Peace.